Right, so welcome back to another guide on this channel, and on this occasion is the syntactic trick conditions, nay, fill, pre, and so on. Just to get into the groove, we will start with the easy ones and then move on to the next ones. Still, everything on this guide is in chapters, so if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, you can. Everything is at the description. Alright, so let's begin with the A and the B, and if you're wondering what's the A and what's the B, right here when we go to the conditionals all the way, to the end, this is going to be the A and the B, and you have a million combinations. Alright, so I'm gonna be selecting the snare, this one right here, and I'm gonna enter a grid recording, and I'm gonna do a 4 in the floor, in this case 1, 9, and then 5 and 13, and I'm gonna be playing this. Alright, so it's 100 BPM per second, so we get this. Alright. So what I want to do, I want to add a trig on the 15. I'm going to go there and just add it there. Now, if I tap it and hold it, then you can change the trig condition. In this case, I'm going to be going to the 1, 2, because it's, the first one and is the easiest one. So, okay, so I'm standing on 1, then a colon, and then 2. So this is the A and the B. Now, what this means is that the A is going to be when the trig is going to be, triggering it, when it's going to be playing, and B, the second number, is going to be the number of loops or cycles of a pattern. So if this trigger has this condition, is going to be playing the first time of 2 cycles. So right now we have a 16-step sequence, just one single page. So if I play it, alright, so notice what happened. It went 2 cycles of 16 steps and only played the first one. That's why it's 1, 2. It's playing the first of the 2 cycles. Let's do it again. Gonna be doing some playing, and then not playing on the second loop. And then everything starts over. Alright. And it's, super simple. Now, it gets a little bit more, complicated because you have a million options and a million combinations. So right now we have the first of 2 cycles. What happens if I go to 2 of 2? So this trig is going to be playing the second cycle of 2 cycles. If I stop and play it, not going to play. And then on the second cycle, it's going to play. All right. And then everything, starts just over. I'm going to go there again, and now I'm going to be going up. And as you go up, you get different combinations. So first we get 2 cycles, then we get 3 cycles, and then if we keep scrolling, we get all the combinations with 3 cycles. The first of 3, the second of 3, and the third of 3. So I guess you're starting to get the idea of how this works. So this one is going to be 3 cycles. It's going to play 3 different times, 3 steps, pages of 16, and it's only going to play the first cycle. If I play it, it's going to play, and it's not going to play, and then it's not going to play. And then everything again starts over, first cycle. And I think at this point, you get the idea. What happens if I go to 3, 3? This is going to be playing on the third one of 3 cycles. First cycle not playing, second cycle not playing, and then the third cycle is just playing. That's it. Right, so this is very simple, but the thing is that as you move on and you add different trig conditionals on different parts and on different instruments, you will have, a lot. It's going to be a little bit confusing. Okay, so let's just finish this. If I play this, if I, hold it, and I keep going down, you have, again, a lot of different combinations. You have 4 different loops, in this case, 4, and then you go to 5, and you can go all the way up to 8. Now, what happens when you have a larger length pattern? Right now, we have just 16 steps. What happens if we have, 64 steps? Okay, so I'm going to be removing this trigger. I'm right on, so I'm just removing it. We just have this, the snares. So I'm going to be going to function, and then I'm going to be going to page. And when I go to page, I'm going to go all the way up so we can copy pretty much everything else that we have. And we have a 64 step sequence. So if I play it, first page, then second page, and it's the same over and over again. All right. So what's going to happen with the A and the B? Is it going to count a page, or is it going to count when it's a full cycle of, the whole sequence? So it's going to count a full cycle. In this case, a full cycle is going to be 64 steps. So, let's just create an example. I'm going to enter grid recording and I'm going to tap the pages. So I'm in the second page, the third page, and I'm going to go to the fourth page. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to be adding some snare on the 15. And on this one, I'm going to be holding it and I'm going to be going to, I don't know, maybe we can do 2, 3. Yeah, let's do 2, 3. So this means it's going to be playing 3 cycles of 64 steps, but this one will only play the second 64s. So I'm going to release it. I'm going to get out of grid recording and I'm just going to play it. But you're still in the first 64 and it's not playing. Now is it time to play? No, because it's the first cycle. If we go, this is the second cycle. On this one, it should be playing. Third page and then fourth page and it's going to play. There you go. And then, since we have 3 cycles, the third cycle is not going to play. And when it ends, everything starts over. It's going to keep counting, 3 of 64s, and it's just going to do it and do it. All right, so you can go nuts right here. I'm just giving you a very simple example. And, you can go to all the different tracks that you have available and to create different conditions for a bunch of triggers. Again, it can get really confusing. So you really need to be aware on where you put your conditionals. And if you use this wisely, it's going to make, your track, your 64-step sequence like a whole performance. All right, so let's talk about pre and then the dash or, line or not pre. So this is a logical operator. If you come from the developing world, this is like let's say an if statement. It's a conditional. So pre only knows how to read true and false. And it looks at someplace else, and if that something else is true or false, it will react. So pre reacts to whatever other thing that is true, and not pre will be true if other things are false. And again, I know all of this is just super confusing. Don't worry, we're gonna create an example for everything. So again, I'm using the default, kit that you get. I'm working on 16 steps, just 16 steps. I'm going to enter the grid and I'm going to stand on the snare. I'm going to enter right here and I'm going to add a snare to the 5 and the 13. And if I play it, we just get a 5 and we just get the 13. All right. What I want to do, I want to make this 5 only play on the 2, 2. So if I hold it and I go to that trigger condition, I'm going to be doing... There we go, a 2, 2. So this means that this snare is only going to play on the second of 2 cycles. So if I play it back, not playing, and then playing, and everything starts over. So if you're just confused with these conditionals, you need to go to the previous section. All right. So what's the point of this? Okay, so now what do I need to do? I need to add a snare, but I'm going to be adding it right here to the number 7. I'm going to add it right there, and I'm going to hold it. And this one could be either pre or maybe not pre. So this is pre and this is not pre. So I'm going to make it pre, right? So we have the 5. We're only going to be playing on the second of 2 loops. And then the 7, it's going to be a pre. So the trick right here is that the pre will always be listening or be aware to whatever other trick that comes before, right? That has a conditional. And this has conditional, has a 2, 2. And it doesn't matter if that, thing that comes before this pre is right here or, on maybe other pages. If some other trick before this one has a conditional, this one will react to it. And everything right here is about true and false. Since this one, the first cycle is not going to play, it's going to return false. Since this one is pre, it's listening for true, right? Since this one is false, this one will not play. But then on the second cycle, this one will play, and this one, it's looking for true. So the pre will detect the true, and everything is going to, fulfill, and it's going to be playing. So let's do it. I'm going to be stopping and just playing it back. Now this is not playing. And then plays. Right. So in conclusion, pre will, no line at the top, looks for true. If whatever previous step has a trick is true, this one is gonna be true. So what happens if I go to this one and change it to not pre? So this is the complete opposite. The other one was looking for true triggers. In this case, this one, was true and false at some point. So this trigger is going to be looking for false. So this one, the 7th, is going to be playing when the 5 it's false, when it's not playing. So I'm going to be stopping this and I'm going to be playing back. There we go. So when this one plays, this one is not playing. And when this is playing, this one will not play. Right? So that's, how it works. All right, so that's it. A couple more things that you need to know about pre and not pre is that they don't care about cycles. If we have maybe a trick that it's on the page 64, and then we have a pre-conditional on the first page of the second loop of, 64, it doesn't care. If there's a sound, a track, in this case a trigger, that comes before, that has a conditional, whatever pre is going to be listening for it or listening to it. So it really doesn't care about cycles, right? Now, there's one other thing that you really need to know with pre's. Other pre's don't listen to other pre's. Just to give you an example, if I go to the 5 and I make it not pre, let's say that this one, it's false and this one, it's going to be true, something like that, something dumb like this. So this doesn't, this is not going to work. This one doesn't care about other, trick conditionals that are about pre. So what we are doing makes no sense. If I play it, it's just going to play, but it's going to be always the same thing. This one, it's going to be true because, it's a pre, and this one, it's going to be not true, but nothing happens on this one, never. So again, the pre's will not listen to other pre's as a trick conditional. Okay, so hopefully you understood everything. And if you did, from now on, everything is going to be really easy. Okay, so let's talk about nay and then not nay. And you really need to know pre to understand this ones because they are really similar. Now, nay is not a shorthand of not, is neighbor. And one of the main differences with the pre's is that the nays, they work with different tracks. They don't work with the triggers within the same track. If I go to rec and I'm standing on the snare, we know that when the pre's, we can add a pre right here and then a different conditional. But we are standing on the same snare track. This is where the pre will work. So the nays don't work like that. It's going to be listening to the other track. If this one is a snare and this one is a kick, it's going to be listening for the conditionals right here. So that's, the main difference. If this one is a clap, it's going to be listening to the neighbor track. And this one is going to be listening to this, and so on, and so on, and so on. So just like the pre's, they will evaluate a trigger conditional of a neighbor track. And if the neighbor track has true, the nay will be true, and not nay will be false. And if the neighbor track has false, the nay will be false, and the not nay will be true. I know, again, just really confusing. Let's just create an example. So I'm going to stand on the kick. I'm going to add the 4 in the floor, right? And then I'm going to get out. I'm going to select the snare. I'm going to be adding a snare to the 5 and the 13. And if I play it back, it's just a kick and the snare, right? And on all of these videos, I just create really simple examples. So you can just, learn it. On some other videos on the web, you have very complex, sounds or very complex songs. And it's just really really hard to, to get around this. That's why I just keep it simple. Now, okay, so the track number 3, this one on a default kit, is going to be a clap. So the clap is a neighbor track of the snare. So I'm going to stand on the clap and I'm going to enter the recording, the grid recording, and I'm going to be adding a snare, clap, right here to the number 6. So if I get out and play it, it's going to sound like that. Right? And it's, we know how it works. We're not adding anything. All right. So I will go to that clap. I'm going to hold it and then I'm going to make it nay. I'm going to go there and just find it. There we go. Not nay. And then we get the nay. I'm going to make this one nay. So when the neighbor track plays, this one, it's looking for true because it's nay, right? It's looking for true. So if the snare plays, the clap plays too. Now, if I make it not nay, it will always play, make it not nay, just like that. This one will always play unless the snare plays. Now let's create an example. I'm going to go and leave this one as nay. I'm going to get out and just stand on the snare track. I'm going to go and enter grid recording. And I'm going to go to the 5 of the neighbor track of the clap, which is the snare. I'm going to be holding this one and I'm just going to do something simple. I'm going to be doing 1 and 2. So this snare will play on the first cycle of 2 cycles. All right, so I'm going to get out and remember how this works. The snare, the 5 is going to play the first one of 2 cycles. And then the clap, it has a a nay. So it's awaiting for true in order to play. So I'm going to be stopping this, getting out, and just play it. There you go. You notice what happens? So when this one is not playing, this one is not playing. when this one plays, this one plays. All right. Now, if I make the clap not nay, is the complete opposite. This one will always play unless the snare plays. So I'm going to get out and remember how this works. If the snare plays, this one is not nay, it will not play. But when this one it's not playing, this one will always play. So I'm going to be playing it. Right. All right. So again, that's how it works. The nays will listen to neighbor tracks. Now, there's something else that you need to know. With preconditions, they ignore other preconditions or conditionals. You can call it that way. So nay conditions or conditionals will ignore other preconditionals, but nay they listen to other nays. Okay, so again, let's create an example. We are standing on this one, on the clap, and this one was not nay. Well, I'm gonna make it nay right now. I'm just gonna get out. So the next track is going to be a hat. I'm gonna enter the grid recording and I'm gonna add the hat to the number 7. And I'm just doing this just to keep it on the same spot. So if I go to this one and I make it nay, remember that the other one, the number 3, the clap, was nay. So the hat will listen to the previous conditional, which is nay, and it's true. So when the clap is true, since the neighbor track, let me just get out, the hat listens to the nay of the clap. Since this is a nay of true, this one will play as well. And when this one is not playing, since this one is listening to this, it will not play. So when this one is playing, this nay is going to listen to this and it's going to be playing. And when this one is not playing, this one will not play. So let's do it again. Right, playing. The snare is not playing, so the clap and hat are not playing as well. All right. Cool. So in conclusion, nays will listen to other nays, and they work with neighbor tracks. And you can add as many nays as you wish. I'm gonna go to the hat. I'm just gonna remove this one. I'm gonna go maybe right here to the clap, and we know that we have nay right here. What happens if I add another one right here and I just make it not nay? Just to give you a different example. All right, so you can do whatever you want right here. This one is nay, and this one is not nay. So if I get out, whenever the snare plays, this one is not playing, and the other one will play. All right, so we can create, different things with this. All right. Just like we discussed, on the pre's, let me just get out. We know that this one, it's listening to whatever neighbor track, and it's awaiting for, a conditional to be outputted. It's listening to whatever conditional, trick condition we have. So it doesn't matter if we have 64 steps or many cycles, whatever that comes before is going to stay true or false until we reach whatever pre or nay condition that we have here. And again, it just makes everything a little bit more complex because now you need to be worried about if you're playing 64 steps or you're playing 16 or on which page you are and what other conditionals the other tracks have. And just like I said before, the takeaway from learning all the conditionals is that once you dominate them, a simple 16 or 32 or 64 step sequence is going to sound like a whole performance. Right, so let's talk about the first and the not first. We just covered the most challenging parts. From now on, it's going to be really simple. Now, first, it's going to be true the first time that it loops. Now, first, let's create an example. This is just pretty simple. I'm going to stand on the kick. I'm going to add a 4 in the floor. And we are just going to be using, for now, 16 steps, okay? We're going to get out. I'm going to go to the snare. I'm going to do 5, and I'm going to do 13. Now, I'm going to press and hold it. And now I'm going to be going to the trick. And this one, I'm going to make it first. So again, remember how this works. It will play the first time, but then it will not play again. So if I get out and play it, right? So it's playing the first cycle and then never ever playing again. Let's do it again. Never ever playing again. All right, so what happens if I go to this and make it not first? So this one, what it will do, it will not play the first time, but then it's going to be playing always. So if I get out and play it, not playing, and always play, right? So this is, how it works, and it's a very, useful conditional. Okay, so let's talk about probability, and I'm pretty sure you already know this one. Now, it will, trick depending on the probability, right? And this is a good old kind of a random function. So every time a sequence is about to trick something, it's going to be, it's going to ask that probability that we have right there. How, likely are you to play that, trigger? So we're going to create an example right now, but what you need to be aware is that this is a trick condition. So for example, pre and nay will react to it. So let's just first create an example. I'm going to go to maybe a 4 in the floor. Let me make sure I'm standing on the kick. A 4 in the floor. I'm going to go there to the snare. So we have a 4 in the floor. Pretty easy. All right. So I'm going to be going to maybe this one, and I'm just going to be making it right here, a conditional of 100%. So if you have 100%, it will always play. But as you go down, the probability for this trigger to be playing is going to be less and less. So I'm going to make it something around, I don't know, 67. Sounds good. I'm going to get out and play it. Playing. Not playing. 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 And not playing. So you never know when it's going to play, because again, it's just a probability. Every time it's about to play, the machine, it's just, throwing a dice, and just, if it's true, it's going to play, and if it's not going to play. That's how it works. Now, the thing that you need to be aware, and for now, let me just go down in the tempo, because if it's too fast, there we go, just going to go down to 100 BPM per second, something like that. And I'm going to get out, and just, it's going to be a little bit slower, easier to spot. So this is a trick conditional. So if I go there and go there, this is a conditional if it's not 100%, which is, always true. So if I add something else, maybe to the 7th of the same track, the same snare track, I'm going to make this one a pre. Or maybe I'm going to do it a not pre. There we go, not pre. So what will happen is that the 7th trick, it's not pre, and when this one, it's, not triggering, the 7th will. And then when this one is, triggering, this one will not. Just, not pre. It's doing the opposite. So if I get out and I play it, playing, not playing. Playing, not playing. Playing, not playing. Okay, so you know what? Let me just do the following. I'm going to go to 50%. 50 is just, most of the times it will not play. So I'm going to get out, not playing, playing. There we go. Not playing, playing. Not playing, playing. Not playing. So, it's just, and then it's playing and then not playing. All right. So, when you work with the probability, you never know what you're going to get. And that's, the point of the probability, right? So we need to talk about the fill. That's going to be, it's going to be the last thing. And this is like a good old drum fill. We can create a variation, and then that variation is going to be playing whenever we want. Okay. So let's create an example. I'm going to stand on that kick. I'm going to do the 4, the good old 4 in the floor. And then I'm just going to do a snare. If I play it, the 4 in the floor, I'm using 100 BPMs per second, so it can be a little bit easier. Oh, I made a mistake on that one. I'm going to go to the kick, and there we go. I made a mistake. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to stand on the snare. Okay, so I'm standing on the snare. I'm going to enter grid recording, and I'm going to stay on grid recording. So what I want to do, I want to create a fill. So the 15 and the 16 are going to be the fill. So if I play it, right? So again, just a fill. And I'm going to stay on grid recording. Now what I need to do, I need to make them or switch them to be on fill mode. So I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to make it fill. And then we have not fill, which is, the complete opposite of fill. But for now, I'm just going to make it fill. And this one as well. So both are going to be fill. So now if I play this, they will never ever play. They will only play when the fill mode is active. And you have a couple ways of doing this. Now, if you press and hold yes, and then you tap the page, what you will do, you will kind of you will be enabling the fill mode, and this works on loops. So since we have a 16-step loops, if we activate this, doing this method, on the first step of the 16 steps is going to await for the whole cycle to be complete, and on the next cycle, it's going to be playing the fill. Again, let's just, do an example. So we need to be aware of where we are, right? So I'm going to be holding yes, and when we are hitting right there on the one, I'm going to be playing the page. And this will activate the fill mode. It's going to wait for the whole cycle to be done and play it, the fill, on the next one. And the lights are going to be flashing. So I'm going to be doing that. Right, so it's going to flash. And now on this cycle, it's going to play the fill. So that's how it works. Let's do it again. I'm going to hold a yes. Fill mode activated. Next cycle, playing the fill. Now, the not fill, and as you could guess at this point, it's super simple. It's just going to be the opposite of fill. If I play it, it will pretty much always play. But then when I activate, let me just do it on the first, the fill mode, on the next loop, they will not play. So you're just doing the opposite. All right. Let me just show you something else. I'm going to be going to the 15. I'm going to make it fill. And on this one, I'm going to make it fill as well. So you have a different mode of kind of triggering this fill mode. And I'm going to get out of the grid recording. So if we play it, it's just going to be like that, right? The fill of the snare is just not playing. We know how it works now. Now, if I do page, now I'm doing this not on grid recording because page, when I do this is going to be something else. So if I go here out of grid recording and I do page, notice that all the lights are on, right? So this means that we are kind of activating the fill mode, but it's, for the moment. So if I play it, not playing, but if I do this, it's going to do it. And if I keep holding, it's just going to do it until I release it. So if I release it midway, they will not play. And if I do it when we reach here, kind of missed it. There you go. So this way, you're kind of you could be playing a whole performance, and you can just do the page, and it will trigger the fill, the triggers with the fill, the fill condition that you have right there, and you don't need to do yes and page and wait for the next cycle. It's just you do it in the moment. Still, when not in the grid recording mode, you can do yes and page and just wait, for the next cycle. You can do that, so you don't lose it. Okay, so we have one more, and this one is a little bit weird, a little bit funky. So we can latch it. What is funky is how you enable this. So you need to hold page, and then you need to hold yes, and then you need to release page before you release the yes. I know, that's how it works. So I'm going to be doing page, then yes, release the page. And notice that the lights, they stay on. And this is because you're latching the fill mode. Right, so it will all stay on fill mode until you just unlatch it. There you go. Right, so that's it. So hopefully you learned something new on this one. And if you liked all of this, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you just want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can. Go to the links at the description, and you have links for PayPal, you have YouTube thanks, and you have Patreon. So maybe you can be a 1-month patron and just, buy me a coffee that way. Right, so see you on the next one.